Hello folks, this is Swolo once again. Welcome to another video for Teamfight Tactics. This video is taken from yet another patch of Teamfight Tactics. We've been getting the patches fast and furious here, and we're going to be taking a look at a scrap team composition and a particular version of scrap that's emerged really in the last week or so, a version of scrap that is a little bit different from how people have played it before. This is a combination scrap plus striker plus bodyguard team combination. I have heard it referred to as the 4-4-2 team combination. 4 scrap, 4 striker, and 2 bodyguard. And it relies on a carry that typically was not played previously in scrap team compositions, that being Sivir. Yeah, people traditionally not seeing Sivir as having a whole lot of synergy with scrap boards, but you know, scrap being a strong trait right now, people have come up with a way to run these boards with Sivir as the featured carry, making use of the striker trait, and then also with the fact that it overlaps with some of the stuff in scrap. So we'll build towards that. For the moment here, just playing the early game. This is the first game that I did on this new patch. And this, like I said, this scrap plus striker team combination really became popular on the patch before this. I mean, there's been so many at this point in time, it's really hard to keep them straight. But Sivir actually got nerfed in this patch version. It feels like she's been buffed and nerfed a bazillion times in both directions throughout this patch, but she still seems to be one of the stronger units in this patch, which is just coming out as I record this. All right, so out of these different options, I'm definitely not going to play pirates. That does not feel like a great option. I took a sword off the initial carousel, so Battle Mage also does not seem like a great choice, although of course I could make a Shojin with it, but that wasn't the direction I was looking to go for in this game. I've randomed my way into an early 2-star Darius, so I'm going to try to play through that. I had grabbed an early Singed in the case that maybe I would play an Innovator's Opener, but I'm not finding other Singed units. I'm not finding like an early Zillion or an early Echo here. So it makes more sense just to play through the unit I found, which is the 2-star Darius, get that tanky bodyguard frontline, and then we'll try to build behind those bodyguards. I looked at some of the early stats from this patch on the websites that kind of aggregate the TFT data. Bodyguard's definitely doing a little bit better in this patch than they have in some of the others. Back to being at least a reasonable option once again. So this ends up being a 2-item start, not the standard 3-item start. So I have a little bit more gold than usual, and that does mean I'm down an item, but as I said, it means that I'm going to have more gold, so I'm going to look to try to see what I can do to accelerate my economy, which is what you need to do if you get these starts. I don't feel like I have anything terribly impressive right now. I've got the 2-star Darius, that's pretty much it. And then I've picked up Poppy and I picked up a Ziggs. I did get a Corki drop, so there would have been the potential to play Corki in here as well and get Yordle straight in, but I would have had to drop Darius, and I don't think that that's a good idea. By the way, look at this person. This person's open fording about as egregiously as you can possibly do, playing a Quinn and playing an MF and absolutely nothing else with no items on their board. They clearly wanted to lose this round. There's not much I can do about that, but what I can do is I can clear my bench and get to 10 gold on 2-1, which is really good. So even though my board strength is not that great, hopefully my economy will be better to help compensate for that. So yeah, I am just going to look to see what I can do here. I've been taking a little time to scout some of the other boards. I'll pick up this Brand just in case he's next unit in. I've seen a decent number of snipers here. Now, if I had gone with the Caitlyn as a potential option to hold my items instead of the Ezreal, then I'd have the possibility of maybe grabbing MF and playing snipers here. Snipers also seem to be a little bit better in this patch than they've been in some of the past versions. Now that the Twitch reroll and Warwick reroll aren't rolling over everybody, there's a little bit more space for some of these more back-to-front oriented team compositions to work. In other words, things that benefit from having a slower paced game. Bodyguards, I mentioned, snipers also benefit from that. I saw that enchanters had a little bit better stats. Enchanters have been pretty terrible for basically the entirety of this set, but definitely their numbers were a little bit better in this patch as well. Hopefully the balance will prove to be decent, because maybe we will actually be able to make it through a 2-week cycle without getting a B patch. That would be nice. There has been 0 patch cycles without a B patch here in set 6.5. And the patch has been out for 2 months, or the set's been out for 6 months. So yeah, there's been a lot of patches. Anyway, I won the first 2 rounds. I was a little surprised because I don't feel like my setup is very good. But what I will do here is I will get to 20 gold. I have the option to put in another Yordle at level 5, and Gnar is definitely better in this situation than Corki. Give me that Spotlight. Give me another unit that can deal some damage, and we'll look to go from there. But my overall board is not that strong. I'm actually pretty surprised I won the first 2 rounds. Now, the first person was super open fording, but the second person had a pretty decent setup, and I think I was fortunate that I was able to win that round. This one, though, looks a little bit tougher. This person, let's see, what do they have? They're running an Innovator's Opener, so they've got the extra unit, they've got the Scarab, and they also have a 2-star Ezreal and a 2-star Ziggs. With apparently they took Tome of Trait and pulled the Socialite emblem out of that. So don't think a 1-star Ezreal beats a 2-star Ezreal plus a Zillion. So I'm going to lose that round. And I was reasonably happy to only take 4 damage there because, as I said, my board's not that strong. But I'm at 20 gold, and that's a good place to be on 2-3. This is kind of what you want to do if you get the 2-item start. I generally prefer this to getting the 3-item start just because all that extra gold really does help advance your economy. So I think that this has gone about as well as I reasonably could have hoped. Now, the unit I most want here is that Echo. Remember, I have a tier on my bench, so if I grab Echo, I could put a Frozen Heart on him, and that's considered to be really, really strong in the current makeup of the game. I don't get that, unfortunately. Very, very close. If I'd taken 2 more damage the last round, I might have actually gotten that. But no, someone else is going to snap that up. And I was like, that would have been nice. That would have given me another scrap unit. I could have played 3 scrap, and then if I found Blitzcrank, which, by the way, is right here, that could have been 4 scrap with Echo holding a Frozen Heart. We would have been off and rolling, but not an option here. So instead, I will hold the Blitzcrank for right now because I would like the option to play 4 scrap. Again, I would not mind getting an Echo. I would love to see Echo show up in the store. Has not appeared so far yet. And for the time being, I will play the Gnar. And in fact, I will just play the Gnar with the bow for right now. I don't know what this is going to turn into. It could turn into a Last Whisper, would be a good option. Could turn into a Giant Slayer because I have the sword, although Giant Slayer is not a very good early game item. Could turn into a Rage Blade. Could even turn into like a Hurricane potentially. So there's some different options here. And I prefer not to commit that item. But I might as well use the item. I mean, I had a Gnar on my bench, but if I took Gnar with a bow off Carousel, I might as well play the Gnar with the bow over the Gnar that doesn't have a bow. I suppose the one danger here is if I get a Gnar out of the Yordle's trait, it could combine into 2-star Gnar, and I might not necessarily want that, but I'm willing to live with that for the time being. Anyway, we're able to win that round without too much trouble. So it would be nice if I could win this round as well. If I can win this round, I would pick up the 1 gold, be at 29 gold, then I'd sell the Ziggs and look to get to 30 gold, which would be a really nice place to be at the end of stage 2, considering that I have not gone on a long winning or losing streak. So we'll have to see who we're up against. I'm hoping I will not hit that person, Au Gratin Potatoes, with the French name, because they are running Built Different, and their Built Different board is just really strong for this stage of the game. Instead, I hit this person, Water is Awesome. They're playing a Hextech board. They have the scaling Hextech trait, whereby all Hextech units permanently gain +1 AP every time that a Hextech pulse goes off. I don't think that augment is very good, but for whatever reason, they have a 2-star Lucian already, and I was like, yeah, not gonna be 2-star Lucian. I don't know how they found that unit. I guess they just got really lucky. So they're going to be win streaking for quite some time off that. They have 4 Hextech in with the 2-star Lucian, and that is awfully good for stage 2. Stage 2. Anyway, though, so overall, I think it was a decent stage 2 here. Could have gone better. Would have been nice to not lose that last round, but it is what it is. You can see that there's a couple comps that are win streaking. There is the person who's built different, and then there's another person on 98 HP, and then there's the person I just hit. So there's like 3 comps that are very strong in the lobby right now. I would dearly like to find some more Ezreals because a 1-star Ezreal with a sword is not going to do a whole lot for me. Not exactly the setup that I'm looking for. Anyway, we're going to get some other components here. I'm going to get more components now and less gold because remember at the start of the game I got a lot of gold and few components, and this does equal itself out over time. So I end up getting 3 more components. I don't get any gold. Again, as I said, this balances out over time. So now I have to think about what I want to do with these items. I'm thinking that I'm playing into a scrap comp long term, so I do decide right here that I think I'm going to go ahead and make a Frozen Heart with the intention that this will go on Echo later. but I want to get use out of it, so I'll go ahead and put it on the Darius for right now. I'm also, now that I have double bows, I want to make use of these bows, so I'm going to go ahead and make Giant Slayer and then put another bow on Ezreal. So this is me trying to make use of what items I have. I would not have made the Giant Slayer except that I was in a situation where I had double bows and I wanted to start getting some use out of it. It was either make a Giant Slayer or make a Hurricane if I wanted to make use of that. I mean, I guess I could have, I don't know, tossed it on one of the items that went into the Frozen Heart, but I didn't want to make Static Shiv and I didn't want to make Titans, which was the other option. So Darius is now holding the items that are intended for Echo later on. Fortunately, Darius gets his ult off, and Ezreal is holding the items for some kind of carry. This round goes horribly. This is the built different player. They have a couple different 2-stars, and they just absolutely rolled over me. I did not kill any units, and this is going to be a problem here because my damage output is not too good right now. So let's go ahead and level here. This is the standard time to go to level 6. So I'll go ahead and put in the Blitzcrank. Unfortunately, that leaves me at 3 scrap and at 3 bodyguard, which is really awkward. So I was like, what can I do here? I was like, well, let's just go ahead and play 4 bodyguard. I think that's better here. Again, my damage is so low that I really need my front line to stall for long enough for this 1-star Ezreal to kill things. I have not had much luck in finding other units here. I suppose I could have put these items on Gnar, but I'm just hoping to stabilize here for a couple of rounds in the hopes that I can find a carry to put these items on. I could put these on Jhin. I could put these on Aurelia. I'm hoping to find Sivir because, as I said, I'm trying to test out this team composition, which is the Striker plus Scrap kind of pairing. So that's kind of what I'm trying to play towards because I haven't played that team comp before, and I'd like to test towards it. But we'll have to see what I can get here. All right, so another Silver Augment here on 3/3. Got some options that aren't super appealing. It's not going to be featherweights because that's for reroll comps. I could take Second Wind, but I don't think that's that good. I mean, I guess it's okay. It's not that interesting. The Tome of Traits is higher risk, higher reward. Like, it has a better potential to give me something really good, but it also has higher potential for me to get something that's kind of useless. But I decided I'd go for this, and I'm going to wait to pull it until I can put Gnar on my board. The reason for that is I have better options of getting stuff that I want. Oh, by the way, here someone who's playing full Mercenaries has taken Recombobulator, which is like, they're like doubly gambling here. Both lost streaking with Mercenaries and also putting in Recombobulator. And they've ended up getting a Jace, because I guess they had a 4-cost unit on their board, and then they recombobulated it into a Jace. So, okay, that's going to be annoying. But yeah, I'm going to hold off on pulling the Tome of Traits because if I can put Gnar on my board, then he'll also introduce the opportunity to get the Striker, and I'm hoping to pull either Scrap or Striker. If I pull Scrap, I could play 6 Scrap. If I play Striker, I could play 6 Striker, and both would be quite good. So I'm going to wait until he's on the board because that'll increase my odds of getting one of those 2 things. And I'm hoping that that'll be the case. Also, the more traits you have in play, the less likely you are to get something purely random, and the more likely you are to get stuff that's actually on your list of traits. I can't remember the exact formula, but I think it's like if you have like 5 or fewer traits in play, then it's just totally random. And then if it's like 6 or 7, it's one of the traits you have. And then it's like if it's 7 or 8, it's 2 of the traits you have, etc., etc., etc. So like I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If I have Gnar on the board, that'll put Striker on there. That would be 8 traits. So I'd have like 2. I'd like 2 of those 8 will be traits that I have, and like you can't get Yordle because there's no Yordle emblem. So I'll have decent odds to get something good. All right, on this carousel, I desperately wanted the Sivir with a sword. That would have been awesome. Sivir with a sword is, of course, taken, though. So that was taken by the Mercenaries player who had the Recombobulator, the person I narrowly just beat. And you notice that multiple people are playing Mercenaries in this lobby. This happens pretty frequently in the normal games that I play. People don't care if they win or lose, so they engage in very, very risky strategies. And it can be really obnoxious when there's like 3 people playing Mercenaries. Because like one of them is going to high roll, and one of them is going to get the cash out, and then it's going to be obnoxious trying to deal with them. But that's just the way it is sometimes in these games. My board has hung in there the last 2 rounds. I'm actually a little surprised I won both of those rounds. I barely avoided cashing out one of the mercenary players. But I know that this is not going to work long term because I'm pretty tanky with the 4 bodyguards and the 3 scrap, but like where's the damage in this team composition? Ezreal's got a Rage Blade, so like he slowly ramps up over time, but he's a 1-cost 1-star unit. It's like that is not going to be sufficient in this stage. He also has a Giant's Blade, which again, remember, is actually pretty good late game because more units hit the health threshold to get the increased damage. It's 1800 health to get the extra damage from Giant Slayer. So like at this stage of the game, very few units hit that. So that's not a great item for right now, but long term, it'll be better. It's like, oh great, I finally found another Ezreal, hooray. So yeah, this mid game, I've actually done a little bit better than I thought considering how little I have right now, but it's still not going great. I really, really need to move out of the Ezreal and move into finding a better carry. I'm hoping that will be Sivir. I'm kind of building towards Sivir, but I could also play Jinx if I was lucky enough to hit Jinx. Because I made the Rage Blade, I'm not really looking for Jhin anymore, and Aurelia won't really do that well with these items either. Not with Rage Blade Giant Slayer. These are not Aurelia items. So by making the Rage Blade, I did commit myself. I did kind of narrow my options a little bit by doing that, but as I said, I was trying to test out one particular build in this game, so part of the reason why I went ahead and did this. Now this fight's going to be super sad. I'm up against, I guess, someone who's playing mutants. I'm afraid I can't remember what the mutant trait was in this game. I get great Frozen Heart value, but look at Ezreal. He spends the entire fight shooting at a Kassadin who has Thief's Glove, and he has rolled, what is that, a Bramble Vest? So yeah, he just literally does no damage whatsoever, and he spends the entire fight hitting that Kassadin. I was like, really? You know, if you had at least hit the Cho, you would have gotten Giant Slayer value, but oh wow. So in any case, I went to level 7 hoping that it would help stabilize me. It did not. Then I'm going to pull here. I actually get Striker and Scrap as options. I was like, oh, both of the things I want. What do I want more? I decided that I wanted Scrap more because Scrap would do more to help me right now. It allows me to put 4 Scrap in. So I'll just toss that on Darius to make him a little bit tankier. And yeah, now we're going to hope that we can find Sivir, find Aurelia, find maybe Jinx at very low odds. That would be awfully nice, and try to put something together here. So we'll see what we can do. All right, so I decided to roll here because I'm not strong. I cannot afford to sit here, keep playing through this Ezreal. I'm in bad shape here. I find the Tom, and I was like, oh, is there any way I can play Tom? This is very early to find Tom. If I could feed him, maybe he can be a key part of this comp. But I was just trying to figure out how I could play him. So I was like, I'll pick up the Leona because remember I was running bodyguards here. I was like, is this what I want? I'm kind of like trying to figure out what I want to play here. It's like, I can put the Scrap on him for 4 Scrap, but I don't think that this is quite right. So yeah, I decide that I don't think this is right. I will go ahead and make a Quicksilver Sash, and now I'm kind of committed myself to Sivir because these are very clearly Sivir items. I guess they can also work on Jinx, but I'm kind of committing myself to the Sivir here. This fight goes very poorly. This is up against the Hextech player we saw earlier, and in addition to getting the Hextech stored power earlier, now they've also gotten a Twin Shot heart, so now they have +1 Twin Shot, and they just absolutely bowled me over. Looks like they're going for 3-star Lucian because they already have 7 Lucians, and they're playing 3 Lucians on their board for some reason, which is really weird. But I need to fix this. My comp is not strong enough. I need to get stronger here. So I'm going to keep rolling. I made 2-star Ezreal, so it's like, great. That would have been good on stage 2. It is not so good on stage 4. I've also hit this 2-star Leona, so I'm like, this is not quite what I'm looking for. Silco, no. I do finally find the Echo, so that is what I'm looking for. So let's see if we can get these units in. Aurelia gets me to 4 Scrap. Echo will get me to 5 Scrap if I can get Echo in. There we go. And then I can put on the Frozen Heart, and then I can put this Scrap emblem on for 6 Scrap. So this is kind of a band-aid temporarily. 6 Scrap is not really what I'm looking for in the long run. I wouldn't mind having it if I could get up to like level 9 and play more of these units. But for right now, as I said, it's more of a band-aid. This is to get the shields because I have such little damage. I desperately need the shields to allow me to hang in there in fights. And it's going to allow me to win this fight, right? I really have no business winning. Yeah, you can see that person's on a big Mercenaries loss streak. I really don't want to cash them out. I barely am able to avoid cashing them out. The fact that Ezreal is finally 2-starred actually did end up making a difference. So now I think that I am stable enough that I can stop and go to level 8 and then pray that I can hit like Sivir at level 8. I'm worried about that because other people are playing Sivir and some of them are already out of the lobby. But this, I think, has stabilized me. So this is a game where if I just sat there trying to econ to level 8, I would have been absolutely destroyed. I could not afford to do that. My board was not strong enough. So I had to roll on 7. And I think that I've gotten to a point where I'm at least stable right now and that I can get up to level 8. So notice one of the things that I'm doing here. I've got Echo jumping into the backlines with Frozen Heart. This is, always been a popular thing to do, but it's only emerged as more popular recently. That Frozen Heart applying the attack speed slow just really decimates teams. Like it's hard to put in words, but like this Sivir in this team fight just got absolutely murdered by having that Echo with the Frozen Heart on them. Of course, the Sivir does ramp up eventually, but it provides enough time for me to win this fight that I really have no business winning. I mean, they have 2-star Sivir. I'm working through Ezreal, so it's like, what the heck? What is this? That is not what I'm looking for. All right, and of course I have 6 scrap, so the shields are enormous, and the shields really, really help. Now here, I was hoping that I could take this Aurelia. I was like, really? Because that would have given Aurelia a scrap item, and then I would have Aurelia 2-star, so I was like, there's not really anything I want here, so you know what? We'll just take the spatula. Let's take the Silco with the spat. Maybe we suck out and get lucky. Find another spatula. That's always a possibility. There's not really any trait that I'm specifically making, but if we get another sword, I guess we could make a striker emblem. That is a possibility. So I guess we could do that. In the meantime, I will stick it on Ziggs because the spatulas actually do count towards getting a bigger scrap shield for those who might not be familiar with that. So right now, as I said, I'm econing towards level 9. Again, I have made the 6 scrap as a band-aid to get me through the rest of stage 4, hopefully not bleeding out too much health. Then I will look to go to level 8 after the end of this stage, and then hopefully find my late game carry. Because if not, this is going to be a pretty short game if I'm not able to find some kind of carry. All right, this board seems to be heavy on enchanters. They've got a Mauls with a Gunblade, and what is it, a blue buff Morelos. So this comp is basically a stall for Malzahar comp, is kind of what they're playing here. Unfortunately, the Frozen Heart is not really where I wanted it. I just had Echo jumping to the middle of the board, but this team was like super clumped up in the corner. Unfortunately, I don't have a healing debuff to deal with this team, and that's kind of an issue because Mauls just keeps healing. This person also has Thrill of the Hunt, so they're healing on kill and also healing off the Gunblade, and yeah, just couldn't quite get through that unit, but at least it wasn't a bad loss. Now look at this. So I barely even glance at my options for the last augment because I am able to get something that I want very badly, and that is Weak Spot. So Weak Spot is just perfect for my comp here. Weak Spot does 2 things. Number 1, it is an armor shred. I had no armor shred in my comp. I did not have Last Whisper. I don't have a unit like Jace that can naturally armor shred people. So I really needed this for my physical damage composition. Also, I do not have a Morelos or a Sunfire Cape, so I have no healing debuff either. And you just saw in the last fight what the lack of the healing debuff did, that Malzahar healed forever. If I had had Weak Spot in the last fight, I would have won very easily. So this is like the absolute most perfect thing I could get from this last augment. So I got very lucky in finding Weak Spot. It covered, as I said, it basically addressed 2 different weaknesses in my team comp. The fact that I didn't have Armor Shred and the fact that I didn't have a healing debuff, and it gave me to both of those things at the same time. So super nice. All right, we are up against a team that's actually kind of similar to mine. They're also still playing through an Ezreal. Looks like this person also has not yet managed to find a person to put these Ezreal items on. We both have Echoes with Frozen Hearts, although it looks like theirs was just a random scrap pull. I have double Frozen Hearts because Leona has rolled one on her scrap item. So now this is just a question of who can win this. And this is a very long-running fight, but it looks like my comp is probably going to come out on top if we can deal with the Ezreal. Would be nice if my Ezreal was not hitting the useless Sigs, but their Ezreal's tied up on Leona, so we're going to be able to win that. And there were just like Frozen Hearts everywhere on the board in that fight. So I was able to stabilize there. I lost the first round on stage 4, but then I won 4 of the last 5, or 3 of the last 4, excuse me, 3 of the last 4 rounds. So pulling that scrap emblem out of the Tome of Traits really, really helped me because, as I said, I was not able to find a carry that I wanted. I did find 2-star Aurelia, and that's not nothing, but I was really hoping for Sivir or for Jinx because they are the ones who can best use these items. Now, these are more Sivir items than Jinx items, but they're not terrible on Jinx. The one thing that's missing is Jinx really, really likes Edge of Night. That has become her best item now, and of course, I don't have that here. All right, in any case, so, I find a Sivir. So I was like, well, let's roll down here. I think that the Sivir is so much better that I'm just going to play the Sivir. I also managed to find 2-star Lucian and 2-star Jarvan. Now, why both of them? I want 2-star Lucian if I find Jinx, because that's Twin Shot. I want 2-star I went 2-star Jarvan because that's Hextech plus Striker if I'm playing Sivir. So again, I'm looking here, looking here. I do find 2 out of 3 Sivir, so I was like, all right, I think we just move into this. Let's go ahead and start putting these items in. I make one mistake. I put in the wrong unit. I need to put in Jarvan, not because that's Striker plus Hextech. So I put in the wrong unit there. And I also want to try to get 5 scrap back in, or I would like to get 6 scrap back in play, but I don't think that there's a way I can do that if I play Sivir. I'd have to be level 9 in order to do that. So yeah, the Lucian is not the unit I need in here. As I said, that was if I was going to end up playing Jinx. This is a relatively close fight, but the other person does have 2-star Sivir, and I do not. So this is going to be a loss, and I'm rapidly running out of health here. So I really need to have my board in place, or this game's just going to be over. All right, so let's go ahead and put that in. And now you have the core of this team composition that I talked about, the 4-4-2, as people have dubbed it. 4 striker, 4 scrap, 2 bodyguard. So I've got kind of all the pieces of this in play. And then I luck out and find the 2-star Sivir. I was very surprised. I believe that the person who got knocked out, Yasuo NA, had some Sivirs, and they went back into the pool when they got knocked out. So that's pretty lucky. And then I'm going to roll down and finish 2-starring my board. So I actually got pretty lucky here in terms of what I was hitting. And then I'm going to continue positioning items for maximum scrap value here. Like I said, so this team composition, 4 scrap, 4 striker, 2 bodyguards. We're kind of in this weird position, and 2 Hextech and 1 Socialite here. I'm just running Aurelia on the Socialite Spotlight. Ideally, this team composition runs Aurelia with like support items. I've seen that the ideal way to have Aurelia run is she holds like Zeke's Heralds, because that provides attack speed to her and also to Sivir. Now, I don't have any Zekes in this team composition, but Aurelia is still pretty handy here. So I basically made my comp. Now the question is, will it stand up well enough for the rest of this game? Like, can I manage to outlast some of these people? I mean, that person is on 86 HP. They have 5 Hextech, 5 Twin Shot. I don't think their late game build is actually that good, though, because it relies on Lucian, and he does fall off a fair bit. But I've got most of the pieces intact for this team composition. By the way, I actually should be playing Sivir in the corner. She has a Quicksilver Sash, so she can stand in the corner just fine. She's not going to get hooked because the Quicksilver Sash will block that. But in any case, this time we're up against someone who's running Aurelia. I believe that they have, it's at least 3 Socialite Aurelia. I think that they eventually get up to 5 Socialite Aurelia, though I don't know if they have that in this team composition yet. The good news is Sivir is untouched. And if Sivir is untouched, she's going to cut right through these team compositions. She gets the extra attack damage from Striker. She gets attack speed from the Rage Blade and the Quicksilver Sash and the Giant Slayer. And then the Bodyguards plus the Scrap Shield provides really good protection. Like you just get these huge shields on everybody. So think of how many scrap items I'm rolling here. I'm going to take the Thief's Glove because it's going to roll even more items for me for scrap. If you're playing heavily into scrap, just more items is good because it keeps increasing the size of the shield. So like I'm getting a scrap item on Braum, I'm getting a scrap item on Aurelia, I'm getting a scrap item on Echo, and 1 on Ziggs. I guess I get 3 out of those 4 because I'm at 4 scrap right now. So I get 3 components. But 3 of those 4 items will turn into full items. And yeah, I'm going to keep, I'm just getting these huge shields even though I'm only playing 4 scrap. So because I've 2-starred pretty much everything, the plan is let's get to level 9 and then let's play 1 more scrap unit. It could be Ezreal, or preferably it could be Jinx. But there's not much point in rolling here because I've kind of hit my whole board. Like everything is 2-star. I believe, yeah, every single unit's 2-starred. So there's no point in rolling further. We just want to try to get to 9 and hope that it's good enough. So now everything's all about positioning. Like the whole goal is, can we position well enough so that I don't die in these fights? Once again, Echo jumps into the back lines, gets off a really nice ultimate, put his Frozen Heart right on the key units that I needed to slow down the attack speed of. That team was pretty scary because they had a Victor and they had a 2-star Tahm Kench with blue. So I'm worried that they're going to keep scaling up. But hopefully I can keep dodging some of these other teams. I have been winning all my rounds since I put my comp together. And for all that the mid game was pretty shaky, I actually think that I put together a pretty good team here. I think that this overall setup is pretty good. I've also rolled a Shroud for this particular round, so I'm trying to position to get Shroud value. I am going to position on the left-hand side because I think that I might see that Twin Shot player, and aha! I am going to see the Twin Shot player. So we're going to Shroud the Lucian, and we're going to Frozen Heart the Lucian. And oh, that Lucian's not having a very good day, is he? that he does not like this at all. So yeah, you see what happens when he's slow to get his ability off and when the Frozen Heart slows his attack speed to a crawl. Suddenly this comp that's level 9 and has, 5 Twin Shot in and the 3-star Lucian, suddenly that team comp doesn't look very scary at all. It actually falls apart very quickly as soon as that happens. But yeah, I'm actually on a 4-match win streak, 24 HP, and feeling pretty good. Like I said, the reason why this team composition works is just you get a very tanky front line with Braum. Braum with the bodyguard trait plus having scrap trait for the extra shielding makes him very hard to kill. And then Sivir adds on a lot of... Then you have good damage potential in the Sivir plus Aurelia. Like, Aurelia is not itemized in this game, but she's still kicking in a decent amount of damage in these fights. And then your late game option is playing into Jinx. Now, normally you won't have the scrap emblem as I do in this game, which gives me the 6 scrap option. But there's always other stuff you can put in the late game. You can put in Silco or like a random Jace or something. You know, there's other stuff that you can play into. All right, now I actually know who I'm up against this round. I'm up against this person, Buolo Bao, something like that. So I was like, all right, well, I'm going to position here. I know that there's a Sivir on this other board, so that's what I need to position to stop. So let's move the Echo over here and the Braum to try and stop their Aurelia. But I forget one thing. Their Tahm Kench has an assassin emblem on him. And I was like, oh, whoops. I should have had Sivir one tile to the left. Now, Sivir can't get eaten because she has the Quicksilver Sash, but she can still take a ton of damage from the Tahm. And that's exactly what happens there. Tahm just deals all that damage with his munches. He can't eat her, but he still does a ton of damage. And that's going to cost me this fight. And I will get knocked down to 8 health. So I was like, ooh, that's a misposition. And I think that was a fight that I could have won, but didn't. So I'm going to go to 9 because I'm on 1 HP. And oh, we actually find Ezreal. Okay. That works because Ezreal, for all that he's a dinky little one cost 1 star, he's going to put me up to 6 scrap. And that means my scrap shields are going to be even bigger. Now, if you notice, I'm actually up against the exact same team that I just lost to. So I was like, well, I think the positioning was right in every respect except one. Sivir getting jumped on by the Tahm Kench. So let's just put some bodies in the way of that Tahm. Go ahead, Tom. Go ahead. Eat that Ezreal or eat that Jarvan. Yeah, you eat that Jarvan. I don't really care about that unit all that much. Now, the good news is that Silco on the other team ulted the Aurelia, so she'll just time out and die, and after a couple of seconds, we got through the Tahm Kench. Now it's a matter of can I finish off the Sivir, and looks like we handled that pretty easily. I was like, oh, can I knock this person out? No, they're going to go down to 3 HP. Definitely would have liked to have gotten them out of the lobby here. And look at all these legendary units. I was like, oh, seriously? All these legendaries that I'm not playing? I just don't see any way to get any of those units into my team. I'm like, look at all these legendaries. I was like, are you kidding me? Why can't this happen in a game where I want to play some of those units? But considering what I have here, I just don't see how I play any of them. There's no way to get Galio into this comp. The 6 scrap is extremely valuable, so I don't want to drop out of that. And it looks like I'm going to be up against the Twin Shot player again. This Twin Shot player who's been super rich the entire game, but their comp has really fallen off a cliff here in the late game. It's like, Lucian, remember that Frozen Heart? Yeah. Remember how you loved that Frozen Heart the last time we faced each other? Yeah. So Lucian gets tagged by Braum Ultimate, has been slowed by the Frozen Heart literally the entire fight. This person does have a Jinx, but it's only a 1-star Jinx. So fortunately, we're able to kill that, and they're out of the game. And that person was on 80 HP at like the start of stage 5, so they really misplayed their comp from that position. Well, we're down to the last 3 players, and I see there's a spatula on this carousel. I was like, oh, that's a force of nature. Are you freaking kidding me? Really? Really? You took the spatula? I still don't know if this person took that just to deny it to me. I don't know if they saw that or what, or maybe they wanted to make another item. I'm presuming that they wanted to make an item out of that spatula, but I was like, really? Seriously? So I go ahead and take the sword because this will roll another scrap item. Now, I could make a striker emblem with it, but what would I really do with the striker emblem here? Doesn't feel that valuable. So I'm just rolling, and oh, there's a Jinx. Well, that's better than Ezreal, so let's go ahead and play that. And now I can have Jinx roll a scrap item with that. So, like I said, I could have made like Striker Jinx, and I don't think that would have been bad, but I kind of liked actually having Jinx roll and another entire item off of Scrap Trait. However, this fight, as I'm positioning at the last second, I end up moving Sivir right onto this Zephyr. I was like, wait a minute, what? Was that just dumb luck, or did they see that? I have no idea how they managed to hit that Zephyr, but Anyway, even though Sivir gets tossed up in the sky, she's a long way away from the Tahm Kench, and that's actually pretty valuable. Also, Jinx has rolled Edge of Night, which I already mentioned is her best item. So she's going to crash in here, gets the aggression drop, and wanted that person out of the game. That would have been the game right there. They're down to 1 hit point. So I was like, you know, we wouldn't even have to do another round if Sivir hadn't gotten tagged with that Zephyr. So I don't know. I'm not sure how that happened. Let's just see if we can avoid that. By the way, this is the built different player from very early in the game. They have gotten to level 9. They're moving into legendary units. But they do have the silver version of built different, the silver augment. And that one typically is not that great in the late game. Tends to fall off super duper hard as the game goes on. So I'm going to keep on repositioning here, and let's do this. And did I manage to dodge the Zephyr? Yes, I did. Did I dodge the Shroud? Yes, I did. And Echo is still putting that Frozen Heart in perfect position, slowing the attack speed of Sivir, slowing the attack speed of Victor. We also got a scrap Shroud of Stillness that hit the Victor. I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to win this. But oh, Sivir got taken out by a random little edge of Victor's laser. Fortunately, though, not a problem. We still win easily, even though I had slightly bad fight RNG to have Sivir get tagged by that laser. But there we go. It's a win. A very close win, all the way down to 8 HP on 1 health in the lobby. But from the time that I put my comp together, I did win most of the rounds. So I think that this was a pretty good indication of showing how this particular team composition plays. As I said, the scrap plus the striker plus the bodyguard team composition. Unfortunately, this comp is very popular, so it's very contested right now, which means that particularly at the higher skill levels, you see a couple different people trying to play this in each lobby, and scrap in general is just very strong right now. Still, I wanted to go ahead and put this game up. This was actually the first game I'd played in like 5 days, and I managed to get a first place with it, so feels like this build has something to it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this game. Until next time, hope you're having a great week, and take care. See you guys soon.